you do the?
Could be better.
How do you do the storage on it?
It's just live streams. That's what I'm saying. Like right now we're recording straight into OBS, and then OBS.
What's OBS?
Recording software, open broadcast software. See, ring ring.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
High sophisticated and hung. All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The sixth installment, Table Talk. I got Peens memes with me today.
Also known as Peen Pumps.
Peen Pumps, yeah, catch Peen Pumps. He's a world-class boxing champion, currently training for boxing weekend in Knoxville.
Well, Ace Miller's boxing tournament.
Ace Miller's boxing tournament.
41st annual.
41st annual. Probably can't call it boxing week anymore because of the cocaine incident.
Alleged. It's all up in mystery. It's kind of we don't really know what was going on with him, but obviously it's something that you want to look past. It's definitely a overall good. If you wanted me to talk about that, I mean, yeah. So Knoxville, Tennessee, the Golden Gloves gym in the east side of Knoxville. It does it's like a philanthropy event. It used to be hosted by SAE. But now it is just I took it over because I cared about it so much.
Yeah.
I fought it in my freshman year of college, and then currently just picked it up because, the numbers have been insane from 2015 to like 2018, like $200,000 worth of revenue made for the gym. And
really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Damn.
And that's just ticket sales.
That's not
so.
That's a lot.
Oh, it's a ton of money. And so I'm really passionate about helping those kids out because the gym, anybody that wants to go to the gym can. It's completely free. And it helps the kids. Yeah, definitely. It helps they do tutoring sessions, they provide food for those kids.
So it's like a thing that helps out like underprivileged kids?
Yeah. So yeah, it's anybody in Knoxville, and so like the benefit to having like a combat sport for them to do, it just gets, everybody needs a combat sport, I feel like, because I've been doing this for so long and I've realized that. I think that it's a hugely beneficial thing for them to get all that money.
Interesting.
To keep it, because it's a nonprofit. I mean, they're running off of, I don't even know where they get their money from, honestly. So,
bro, do you watch Andrew Callahan?
Oh yeah, the most recent one?
Bruh, no, I was talking about the one where he went in O-Block.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
Bro, slums, bro. I didn't know they existed.
Well, I mean,
like, bro, that's like the trenches.
Yeah, I mean, that's where, what was it, Chief Keef? Chief Keef came from O-Block.
I think Lil Keed, all the homies were there.
And that dude, that was it. Andrew Channel 5. It was all. Do you know the story between All Gas No Brakes? And
yeah, I heard about that.
I don't know what it is.
Apparently, like, Andrew Callahan was just like affiliated with like All Gas No Brakes, which I didn't even know was like a thing. I didn't even know what it was, but they like fucked him over in his 360 deal, and he ended up like switching and branching off, doing his own thing. 'Cause they were only paying him like $45,000 a year to do what he was doing.
Yeah, and he was like,
he was bringing in a shit ton of views.
Yeah,
and like just
way more money than $45,000 a year. Definitely.
Yeah, 100%. But I was saying, dude, the trenches, man. I did not even think that was a real thing.
I think that, I was having a conversation. I don't know who I was talking to about this the other day, but there's such a duality in the United States of like how good things could be, and I believe that this is the best place in the world. Like this is the best place to live. Yeah. But there are things like O-Block, like you're talking about. I mean,
it's just like
that shit's crazy. Yeah, that shit is super fucking crazy, and it's incredibly dangerous, and like it's not the best place to live, and it's one of the worst places to live, but you want to bring up those areas while keeping everything else just as great as it always has been. So it's hard to balance those two things, but there's always a duality too.
Yeah. I mean, bro, like literally there was in the video I'm talking about, this guy goes to O-Block and like interviews like the king of O-Block, I guess, at the moment, which was like a couple months ago, but he was like literally best friends with Chief Keef, and like I don't know if Lil Keed, I don't even fucking keep up with all that shit, but like there was a picture of him as a young child with like Keef and a bunch of other rappers around him that grew up in O-Block, and like literally in this building, it's like one floor, there's like a bunch of homes or like apartments, but there's like one bathroom on the entire floor. It's like super cramped, and like it's just crazy how people could live like that. And I mean, I feel bad for the people who live there. It's just, I mean, it was eye opening, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think not enough people know that there's like, not the good thing about that Channel 5 guy is that obviously it's like it's kind of parody.
Some of it
Some
is.
of it is, but there's also other things just like that video that really show you like how crazy stuff can be in
different parts of the country,
Yeah.
bro. Like the fucking, was it Talladega or not Talladega?
He did
The
Sturgis,
Bike Week.
Sturgis and I think it's in South Dakota. My dad went to that on.
Well, did you see the Bike Week one?
Yeah, well, Bike Week's in Daytona, I think.
Oh yeah, Daytona Beach. They were doing Bike Week, and like these girls were like wrestling in coleslaw, and like it was absurd, bro.
I do remember that, dude. I watched ever since I sent that message in our group chat, like probably a month or two ago. I was like, "Hey, have y'all heard of this dude?" And you're the only one that responded. But
Oh, Andrew Callahan.
yeah, I was like, hey, y'all heard of this dude? Like, this shit's crazy. And that's the video. That's why I sent that message, because that was the video of them wrestling in coleslaw and those old dudes like hanging out. Like, it's great, man. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it.
Bruh, speaking of old dudes, okay.
All right,
This is
good pivot.
This is what I was going to tell you, bruh. I'm in the gym today at the Y, right? I'm getting my sauna in. You know, I'm in my undies because I don't want to go in there with the towel. It's just kind of sus. I'm in my undies, right? They're kind of soaked with sweat, so I take them off in the men's locker room, as, you know, you do in a men's locker room.
Yeah.
And this old guy, this old-ass fucking dude is just completely naked, right next to me. As soon as I take off my underwear, he, like, looks at me. He, like, scoffs. He's, like, small, overweight, like, just, like, hunched. He's, like, and he goes, looks at my dick, and then he goes, hey. And then, like, looks back up and then just, like, stares me in the eyes. And I just, like, look away, put on my pants, and then go upstairs to the weight room and, like, I don't notify the authorities or anything. I went and told, like, one of my homies who was upstairs working out, I was like, if you're going to the sauna, there's a creeper down there today. And my homie texted me, he was like, bruh, he looked at my dick, on God, for, like, 10 minutes. It was, dude, those people in there fucking sketch me out.
I mean, I
got hit on by two of them the other day.
Ooh.
And like I don't know if they were hitting on me, but like, dude, they were butt ass naked sitting there talking to me. And I'm like trying to like make sure it's evident that I'm not looking at their dick. And I'm like, yeah, how's your day? Christmas, like one of the guys was like, oh yeah, going to get presents for my daughter. And I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. Like, why are you having this conversation with me in the men's locker room while you're sitting here naked?
I think there's a point at which you get to a certain age where you just
dude.
don't give a fuck about anything.
I'm not hanging dong in front of a bunch of, dude, it's weird, bro.
We should have the same conversation when we're both 65.
65 with just hogs, lap hogs in the men's locker room, just showing up all these young guys.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we're not going to be to that point.
We won't be that hung, but like, it's just the men's locker room, man.
It's a scary place.
It's a scary
especially at the
place.
Y. Dude, the YMCA's men's locker room, when I was working out there, was that 2 summers ago? Those dudes, I mean, it's just there's absolutely no, like, not remorse, but like, they just don't give a fuck. They never give a fuck.
No regrets.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, it just doesn't matter to them.
Dude.
It's like a different breed of people.
And you know, and this is not, you know, whatever, but you know who is the most not giving of a fuck? Old Asian men.
I would agree with that too.
Bro, they don't give a fuck. They'll be sitting there just like, literally just like waiting for their underwear to dry in the little machine. And they're just sitting there like this, like just completely naked. And it's like, bro, what are you doing?
It's not like an ego or shame thing. It's just like,
I just don't give a fuck.
It has to be an age thing. It has to be something that we don't understand. Because too many people do it for you to like just pass it off as like just weird people.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know, bro. That place sketches me out. Fuck.
Damn. All right, well, here, I'll get into what we're going to talk about.
Oh, yeah, Pinella's prepared some material for us. Also, this is a very on-the-whim podcast. I've been so fucking bored recently. Just got done with finals. My brain feels like it's mush. So I just was like, hey, Pinella, you want to come on? And he was like, sure.
Yeah. So I recently been reading a book, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. He was an emperor in Rome. I think it was like around 100.
Show the book.
Marcus Aurelius Meditations. I mean, there's a bunch of different. There's like his original, and then this is. I don't know if this. He wrote in Greek. So the weird thing about, I guess he's not really a philosopher, but
Marcus Aurelius, he was like an emperor.
he was an emperor, and so. But this wasn't like supposed to be published. These are just like, this is like his journal, basically.
Yeah.
And so I'll tell you exactly what it was, because I have there's like a chronological thing at the beginning of the book. So he was born in 121 AD and he died in 180 AD.
Wait, does it mean he was 69 or 59?
69.
Beast.
Nice. So yeah, so I haven't read the whole book yet. I kind of just got into it. I bought the book a long time ago when I was actually this past summer when I was like working in Atlanta, and I was like, damn, I really need to like do something else with my time. I would go work out after I got off work. It was I went in from 7 to 5 to get off 4 hours early on Friday.
Yeah.
But I was like, I go to work and then I go work out right after work. I go home, I eat, and then like I would just do nothing for the last couple hours of my night. It was pretty brutal. Put me in like a really weird place where I just like wasn't very happy with what was going on.
That's exactly where I've been the past like 2 months,
dude,
bro.
It's like when you start working and you start like when you make the move from college to the real world working, especially when you're stuck in an 8 to 5, and I didn't even get that much work to do like during the day.
Yeah.
So I'm just like sitting there watching YouTube all day. I mean, like begging my supervisors to give me work, and they like didn't have anything for me to do. So I was like, I need some sort of, I guess in this sense, I was looking for motivation. It was more like I needed to know something else. I needed to know something that I didn't already know, right?
Fair.
So I think I saw it on Joe Rogan's podcast. Like,
Beast.
I forget what he was talking. Yeah, I listen to him all the time still. Last year, you already know this, but I was at 50,000 minutes of Spotify time, and 30,000 of it was Rogan. But and then this year they didn't give me a recap on it
on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, and I listen. At work I would listen to like 2 or 3 a day.
Yeah, I'm pretty pissed on Spotify.
So the purpose of this book, or the purpose of him writing these things, he has like there's 12 different books inside of this one book, like 12 different chapters, and so the main message that he conveys throughout the entire book is that the purpose of him writing this to himself is to direct his mind. So like the point of him writing down his thoughts is because he wants to log everything that he's learned over the past 69 years of his life, right?
Yeah.
There was one thing, let's see if I can find the quote in here.
That math's wrong. It's 59, but
59?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
Well, 20 to 80 is 60. Yeah, 59. 59 years. 59 years. Damn. 10 years off. But yeah, so that's like in the very beginning where it talks about like book 1 is just, it's a recap of like the most influential people in his life. He says this is what I learned from this is what I learned from my stepfather.
Mm-hmm.
From my brother, I learned this. And then he'd give a
description.
Yeah, like a description of it's the first book is very like long-winded. It's a couple paragraphs for each person. I think it's about like 5 or 6 people.
Mm-hmm.
And then it moves into just like not like devotionals, but it's kind of like what he was thinking about each day.
Yeah.
Right. And so some of the things that I pulled from it, like in the past, from having that experience this summer and saying I need to learn something more, I've definitely gotten like the main message that I've got is that you have to kind of roll with the punches of what comes with living life. Yeah. And so I don't think that everybody doesn't really understand that. So when you interact with people on a daily basis, and I'm not trying to say that I know everything.
No, yeah,
and
yeah.
I don't want to be like above everybody else, obviously, but I think that some people just kind of like live life like I was this summer. Like you just have that
Contentness.
yeah. It's just like I think I know things, and this is how my life is, and I'm just going to continue with whatever is coming at me. I think that's a really bad like outlook to have on life, especially because of some of the things that you can learn from having an experience like I did. Like I see that there's a lot more that if I just like do some studying and do some reading, there's some things that I can find out about life that like I wouldn't have never even known because I've never stepped out of, I guess it's not my comfort zone, but I've never like sought after doing something different in my life.
Yeah, well, that's, I mean, like, that goes back to like the whole thing of like you're never gonna, like, if you live your life in such a very one-dimensional way with like kind of a direction that you have said, okay, I'm going this way and that's it, right? Mm-hmm. It's still forward, right, progressively, linearly through time, but like you're never gonna go around or through anything.
Yeah.
Like, and so like if you get in those positions like you said you were in, like which I've recently been in, it's like it's just that weird like what the fuck am I doing? Like I just sat on my phone for fucking 3 hours. I just played video games for 3 hours, or like just dumb shit where like you feel like you're not being productive. Like those are the times where like some of your best creative ideas or some of your best thoughts come to mind. Is in those trenches. Like I started the podcast when I'm pretty sure I was literally just like so fucking bored doing nothing when I got back from school and work, and I was like I have to do something productive that one gives me a platform to like say this shit, but also just like keep my brain continually trying to figure out things and make it work, because if you just sit there with your brain, like you will get lost in your thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I am one that is always lost in my thoughts because
Yeah.
I just, like, have so much downtime and I can't turn off my fucking brain. And so, like, yeah, I tried to get into reading, but I couldn't.
Audiobooks are good, too. If you can find a book that you really like. I always used to listen to audiobooks, like, when I was younger because that's just what everybody told me to do. My parents, I was a reader. I was like an avid reader of everybody in my family. And then, I mean, I just kind of grew up and wasn't really like interested anymore. But audiobooks are definitely a good way to go and then podcasts too.
I love podcasts.
Podcasts is like the same thing. I mean, if you can find somebody that's worth listening to, then like podcasts.
Huberman. I fucking love Andrew Huberman.
I've never watched him before.
He's the guy I send in there about like the health stuff.
Yeah.
Where Nick calls me out. He's like, "Do you ever read any academic journals, or do you just only cite YouTube videos?"
Dude, he was off a bean last night.
But,
oh man,
dude.
Yeah, pivoting off of that topic.
Fucking, have you ever like thought about like when in this era of Marcus Aurelius, like how different life would have been back then?
Yeah, and I think that even 100 years ago, life was a lot different too. So like, I think the technological age, like so you have different eras of life, right?
Yes.
You have different eras of time. You have like the time of the Bible, and then you have the golden age of the Renaissance, and then you have the first industrial revolution, you have the second industrial revolution, and then now we're in the technological revolution. And I think that the way that life was lived back then was more beneficial to the mind than it is now.
100%, bro. Like, I couldn't imagine, like, one, like, people like, philosophers back in the day were, like, literally trying to come up with, like, ways to think about the earth, right? And, like, now, this is what also pisses me off about, like, a lot of people and, like, people who don't take things for granted, or people who take things for granted, is like back in the day, like these people were trying to figure out solar cycles, how to fucking tell time, how to do math, like set the foundation for where we are now. And like half the population probably has, like, have you seen those videos where people ask like, how many continents are there? Like, where is Africa in relation to South Africa? And like, it's just absurd how people don't retain information that is so important to like the way we live our lives, like whether that's geography, space facts, like just shit like that. Like, I feel like the groundwork that was laid for us, we take for granted all the time with like the way we live right now.
I definitely think I've thought about this a lot, obviously, because college student, I'm in engineering, so it's I try to see things from other people's perspective because I know that what I'm doing is a little bit more difficult than what normal
College,
like normal
me,
yeah so
fucking me,
yeah so you
business
have
degree.
I have like 100 people in my class. This is a graduating class of industrial engineers. It's 100 people. So, and then in the engineering college per class, you probably have like 1,000 people out of 25,000 in the entire school. So it's a small, well, maybe not 1,000, maybe more like 800. But it's a small population compared to what people normally do. So I try to look at things like, what are you learning? That's what I try to do. I say, I know what I'm learning, but what are other people learning, and what do they know, and what do they understand about how things work? Because they're doing something that I'm not, and I know nothing about what they're doing. Like, you're way smarter than me in music production and like even this stuff, like we were talking about right before we started this, like how all this stuff works, because I have no idea how all that works. So like, I think that when you see those videos of people that that don't know simple things, and like, oh, well, I learned that in elementary school, how do you not know that? Is because there isn't like an onus put on that information anymore.
There should be, though.
There definitely should be, but no one really cares about it because well, I mean, maybe people care about it, but it's seemingly, obviously those videos are portrayed a certain way, but it is very scary to see that some people don't know like the basic knowledge about the world that we live in. And I think it's just because,
well, that's definitely
when you're
contributing.
younger.
I mean, yeah, but that's like also contributing to the fact of like the disunity of like the world right now. Like, is the fact that, like, for example, like with climate change, like if you sit here and like objectively are like, I don't believe the scientists that did the math and showed that climate change is a real thing, and like you can't understand that like the earth as its whole, and like that we're living on the earth and that's the only thing keeping us alive is the most important thing. Like, that ignorance and like that inability to like you said, look at what other people are doing. Like, if you have some guy who's like, oh, I don't believe the scientists.
Yeah.
I don't believe them. What did they study? Science? It's like, yeah, they studied science, physics, and are understanding the way of the world.
Yeah.
And like the ignorance is what is like separating everybody right now. Is like the ignorance to know that we all share one common thing.
Yeah. There was this one, I forget exactly who the astronaut was, but it was someone that,
yeah, the thumb.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah. As he put up his thumb to the earth.
Put up his thumb. Yeah.
Everything that's been, everything that has been, and everything that will be is right on this planet.
And it's hidden behind his thumb.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
No, I watched that. I think it was a documentary on Netflix. That was in.
Was it?
Yeah, it was in a documentary on Netflix about the moon landing and shit.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, like that is just insane to me to think about someone like putting that in perspective of like everything that I've ever known and that has ever existed in the human timeline is behind my thumb.
Yeah.
And like people probably hear that and they're just like, oh, you know?
Yeah.
Like what makes, like what would make someone care more?
That's the problem that we're dealing with. I think that everybody doesn't have like that sense of community that we should with the entire world. I mean, this is kind of like a world peace thing, but obviously world peace never going to happen. But I wish I knew the astronaut's name, but what he was talking about is that you look past when you're all the way up in outer space. Moon's 250,000 miles away from the Earth, if you didn't know that, which is an insane number, which is unfathomable. when you're all the way up in space and you're looking down on the earth and you're saying there's no country lines, this doesn't look like it does in geography class. The lines between people are just blurred. It's one community.
Yeah.
If you look at a state, then you look at one community. This is a state that's all together.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the entire world, which is a little bit harder to imagine because people are very different.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's a lot of just well, it's more people of our age because well, I guess not, because you look at Twitter and you're looking at people who are 40, 50 years old and still so divided in their ideas and hating one group of people or hating another group of people. I think that like we just don't have that sense of community that obviously we've never had that sense of community. I'm not going to say that even in Roman times, like the Roman Empire, you don't have that sense of community. You just have conquerors and the conquered. But I think that at some point before the technological age, we had a little bit more sense of world community rather than individual. Like I mean, I guess it's not necessarily 100% true. We didn't.
Yeah.
There was never like everybody always agreed. But I think now it's like we focus in on how we're different so much now, way more than we have been.
Yeah, I think that's the fucking phones and Twitter and Instagram is like you can sit here and just endlessly bash people for their opinions and like how they think and have no repercussions.
Yeah.
And like people get fired up because they know someone else is on the other end of that line and they have the ability to do the same thing right back to them with no repercussions. So just like an endless amount of hate is being spread on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, where do we even get that from though? I don't understand how like.
Yeah, people who say Mark Zuckerberg is like evil is like absurd. Like you don't think that like Mark Zuckerberg was not sitting in his dorm room at Harvard being like, I'm going to create the biggest social media company for trolls to go out and rig an election and be Antifa. Like, no. Like, he wanted to connect people in a way that was meaningful, but it ended up spiraling into just shithole.
Yeah, obviously he never knew that stuff.
Well,
was
I know,
ever
but
gonna get as big.
people are like, people go after him and are like, he's evil. Like he's the one who is perpetrating the hate that is being exchanged between left or right, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And it's like people are like, well, he needs to be censoring X group, but not Y, because Y is the one who wanted X to be censored.
Mm-hmm.
That was we were talking about the kid who got banned. The what happened?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if anybody knows the what happened kid. You know. But he got banned, was that true?
I have no idea.
Okay, well, we don't know why he got banned, but we thought he got banned because he said something about BLM in a comment. Apparently this is what, we don't know for facts, but like, this just stemmed the argument is that he got banned because someone said, do you support BLM? And he said no. Mind you, this kid is autistic.
Oh, is he?
Bruh.
I mean, dude, I just know the audio clip. I didn't realize he was autistic.
What happened?
Yeah, I didn't know.
I think he is, but okay, whatever.
For argument's sake.
For argument's sake, kid gets banned, right, for saying no to BLM. Like, whatever you want to think about that, me and Pinnell were just like, how fucking crazy is the world? Like, you know, hey, what's your opinion on this?
Yeah.
Psych! I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Banned. Like,
I forget what the premise of that argument was, or
Well,
what
it
was
was
the
the
conversation. I understand we were talking about that, but it was like,
no, we said the world is so fucking crazy.
yeah, like who gets to decide what is said and what is not said? But then you have some sort of like an obligation. Mark Zuckerberg, I think, does have some sort of an obligation to, like, what is the point between who decides what is dangerous and what is not dangerous, but is like. That's your freedom to do whatever you want and say whatever you want.
But that's the thing is, I mean, in my eyes, to be completely honest, I say whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Like that is, and this also pisses me off. People don't recognize this is there are countries all over the world that have limited speech laws. Mm-hmm. China, Russia. I mean, if you go against the Chinese government, you go against the Russian government, you will die or be thrown in jail. So one of the privileges that we have in America is to be able to literally say whatever the fuck we want, which I love.
Mhm.
And as brutal as it is when you have a bunch of dipshits saying hate speech and shit that riles people up, they pay taxes. They're a citizen. It's in their constitutional rights to say whatever the fuck they want to say, which is as shitty as it is. Like, people need to understand that, like, just because you don't agree with someone, and let's not talk about, like, let's not base this off of, fascism, BLM, whatever, right? There's this notion that everybody has nowadays where they hold their opinion of over, at such a high value over anybody else's. Like you said, the whole thing about trying to understand how people learn and what differences they're learning. Like, part of what is great about open conversation like this is, like, being able to understand why people think the way they think,
Mm-hmm.
and why their opinions are the way they are, and how their opinions can affect other people, me, the world. Like, it's just absurd that people are so anxious nowadays to just completely ostracize people who think differently.
Yeah, it's like you always hear the echo chambers. Echo chambers is what people live in. You feel comfortable. It's all about being comfortable in your ideas. And what you were talking about is that people hold their ideas to such a high value and they never want to change. They're just married to them.
Yeah.
They stick to them, and whether they get information that necessarily that would disprove. If you hear something that says I believe this, but then something comes along and it just completely disproves it. Some people just never want to give up what they thought initially, even though they really don't even know where they got that information from. They just heard it one time and they said, "Oh, well, this is what I agree with, and I'm just going to stick to this."
Yeah.
And so it's like it's unfounded and unbased for you to. I would say most people, even myself, I can call myself out
Oh,
all
yeah,
the time.
I mean,
Sometimes I believe things, and I'll get into a conversation with someone who disagrees with me, and they'll bring up a good point, and I'm like,
you're good. You are good at this.
"What?" Like,
at arguing with people about their opinions.
Yeah,
Which is fine. It's fine. Good conversation is fine. But to sit there, like, he never, sorry to butt in, but, like, Pinnell never has where he's like, what you're thinking is not right. He may be like, I think you're wrong, and this is why I think. But he's never like, that's not right. You shouldn't think that way, and you're a bad person because of it. But people are doing that in this day and age.
100%. Yeah, and I think that over the past couple of years, I've really tried to formulate the way that I don't want to ever like how I say that y'all have never seen me mad. None of my friends have actually ever seen me mad. Only a few people have ever seen me actually angry. It's the same thing with, like, I don't really get into arguments. I don't think that anything, if I'm disagreeing with you, it's not necessarily an argument, even if I'm trying to disprove what you're talking about.
Put that up, like, yeah.
Even if I'm trying to disprove what you're talking about. So when I ask y'all to explain, or I ask anybody to explain their, like, thought process, I really want to, because the way that I see it myself, I try to prove my opinions to myself as I'm explaining them to someone else. Like, I have to think through it, and I have to, like, it has to be rational to me before it can be rational to somebody else. So if you say something, for example, I'm going to ask you to completely explain every single aspect of it. If we're having a discussion on it, I need you to completely explain how you're feeling and what you're talking about, and I'm going to try to get to every single aspect of the argument, I guess, for you to understand what you're talking about to other people.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think I try to argue with them. It's more of just like, does your argument hold up to scrutiny?
Well, that's what in my ethics class, my professor was saying that the definition or something, I forget what it was, but the test of a good theory is how good does it hold up to counter arguments or counter claims.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I go for all the time, and I even try to disprove my own thinking. Half the time, like,
I do that all the time.
I say some really stupid shit sometimes because I just sit there and think about things all the time. Like, for example, when we were painting for homecoming at Tennessee, we were painting a huge banner, and, like, I'm just sitting there in my own thoughts. Like, there's, like, a bunch of random people in the room, and some people I know, and some girls from the sorority that I don't know, and we're sitting there, and I'm like, I just had it slip out of my head, and I was like, you know what? Music is really, really strange. And, like, everybody turns to me and they're like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I don't know, just the idea of music and like making sounds, and people really like music.
It is
That shit's
absurd.
crazy. And so I mean, I guess that's not any disproving or proving of my argument. That's just me being thinking in my own thoughts all the time. But I'm so in my head, and I don't think people understand when I like try to come to people, and I think more people should be like this. I'm not saying that I'm perfect or I'm
Yeah, yeah,
above
yeah.
anybody in any way, but I think that people would find way more understanding than others if they sat around with their own thoughts. Like you were talking about earlier, if you sit around with your own thoughts, you can get lost in them. And so while you're getting lost in your own thoughts, disprove everything you believe. Like you don't ever want to be comfortable, because no good comes from being comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Good times, what's the saying? It's hard times create strong men create good times, and good times create weak men, and then weak men create hard times. So it's a cycle. If you try to stay comfortable and
Mm-hmm.
stay whatever you're in, nothing's ever going to change, and in fact, stuff is going to get worse for you, because you're never striving to improve your life. And this is kind of what we were talking about, like the whole premise of our conversation. I guess what was it? Trial and tribulation is what I brought
Oh
up.
yeah.
The whole point of like what we were talking about earlier to come on this podcast and like this one-off thing was like we were trying to figure out what it. I've always tried to figure out what I'm like good at.
Mm-hmm.
How would I be interesting enough for someone to listen to what I'm saying? I think that it might be one of the things that I have. Obviously, I'm still young and I don't really know like everything about the world, but I think I've been through some pretty tough times with like family stuff. I think that my relationship life has been a fuck all for a long time. I think that some things like school has beat me down to shit at some points in my life. Like I've been through some tough situations that I don't even care for anybody else to label them tough, because I don't care what everybody thinks about what I'm talking about. I think that I can label them tough because I've been through
And
good times.
you grow from
Oh
them.
fuck yeah, you grow through that. And I think that like that's like that was the premise. I think that the first thing that I wrote down is that pain and traumatic experiences are what you need to grow as a human.
100%.
That's what I was just saying. The hard times and the good times and the weak men and the strong men, you become strong through those traumatic experiences and those really bad times, because you eventually you have to decide when you want to get out of them. And so
Bro,
you make a change.
100%. And like literally, like, I mean, like, I've been going through a fucking massive change the past like 3 years of my life, and like, I'm not going to be the first one to say it. Like, I've cried to my mom like plenty of times about like just shit, and like having so much weight on my shoulders and feeling like I'm just lost and everything. And like, I think one of the big things too is like, for men, at least 100%, is that like men are looked at as like having to have this just God complex of like feel no emotion, show no emotion, be a dog, like, just weather the storm and get through it. When in reality, like, that is like the worst possible thing you could do for your mental. Like, I understand like there's parts of like, having to like deal with shit, but like I think not a lot of guys are willing to talk about their problems.
Yeah, and I think that those problems as a man, they are beneficial in the long run for you to go through those really hard times. It is.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is if you go, like, when you're, like, as a man currently, like, going through rough shit, whether it's friends, family, relationship, like, spirituality, everything, right? Obviously, there's different things for women, but, like, as a man, like, I go through that, but, like, there's a difference between me going through it and not learning from it. Because I could not learn from it, right? I could just go with the motions, be like, oh, this is shitty. I'm not going to change because I just don't want to, and it's going to be hard. Where I love the transition phase for me recently is just the change. And what I'm saying is, without open conversations with friends, my mom, my dad, anyone about what I'm going through, I don't think that I could have changed.
Do you
Like,
think that you get knowledge from those people when you talk to them?
I think putting your ideas, putting your thoughts, your emotions into the world with 1 second, fucking battery.
And cut. You remember on the first podcast that we did?
Piss me the fuck off.
Your battery on your phone?
Yeah, I don't know why it's being retarded.
You remember the first time that we did the podcast and I was like,
yeah.
and then there was actually one cut on it.
Yeah. But no, I'm saying like, I don't know what they saw. It was like my dumbass face or not. But anyway, like putting your words, your thoughts, your emotions into a place of reflection is so good for learning.
Yeah, I think that writing things down, at one point in my college career, I'd just broken up with a girlfriend, or she broke up with me, and I was so devastated about it, and I just didn't have anything. I didn't know what to do. I was lost and everything. I felt like I had some things to keep structure to my life, but some things were just like I didn't know what was going on. I was so confused about the situation that I was in. I was so like I just didn't know what to do. And so I literally, as a last resort, I just like started a journal. I started writing down everything that I was thinking about when I would go right before I went to bed at night. I would say, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I hope. This is what I hope. This is what I feel. Like it was literally just anything. As quickly as I could think of the thought in my head, I would write it down on the paper. I would write paragraphs, and I filled up the entire notebook, and I did it over a couple week period. And after that, it was like, you know what? I use this as a coming to terms thing. Like I used the resources that I had in front of me that I already knew were an option, and I didn't ever think that writing was going to be something that helped me out because I've never been a writer. But being able to put stuff down on paper and read it over and then release it from my head. I don't have to keep those thoughts in my head anymore because it's already on that paper. I never have to think about that again until I want to read it and analyze it, because it's right there. I don't have to carry that with me because it's already down on paper. So over a couple week period and writing through that notebook, I mean, I made a lot of strides. I made a lot of improvement in my life. It was more of like reflecting on the relationship and reflecting on how I acted during it. And even today, I mean, that was a couple years ago, that was sophomore year, so that was 2 years ago. And even today, I still think about it, and I try to make like rationalizations of like what was going on and how I got to where I was and how I got through it. And so like what did X lead to Y? Like what was that transition? And then how did I transition into the bad place, and how did I transition out of it? So I've had like I've been doing that with every single situation I've gotten myself in over the past couple of years, and even when I was younger. And I think that like being able to have a medium where you know that you're being heard, like you were saying you talk to people about it. When I was writing stuff down, I was fine. I went from being in such a bad place to being like I was okay, and it shocked me because I was so deep in that dark place.
Yeah. I mean, I think that like, yeah, I mean, just having someone to be able to like hear what you're saying is very important, especially because like if you don't have anyone to talk to, or you're not talking to anyone about life or, you know, anything for that matter, like you almost feel like you're disconnected from like a reality where you think everybody else is doing okay. Everybody else is on a right path. And because I'm not talking about it with anyone, and because I'm not having these open dialogues with people, I assume they're fine. You look at their Instagram, their social media, it's like, you know, I'm doing this and that. Whereas, like, you know, if you reach out, you ask them how they're doing or whatever, you know, 9 times out of 10, they're struggling in some facet of their life. And so I think having those conversations with family, friends, or anything is just good for people to just understand that they're not alone, in the sense that everybody is going through shit constantly. Ebbs and flows of life happen every minute, every day, year, etc. And that like nothing will ever be perfect, but that beauty in that nothing will ever be perfect should allow you to strive to try and achieve, you know, you have unlimited achievement ability in life, right?
Yeah.
You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
And it's honestly kind of upsetting sometimes is when you think about that and you're like, oh, you hear some motivational quote from someone like Goggins or something. He's like, yeah, he said that the thing that changed his life is when he was imagining going into heaven and God, it was like next up in line, David Goggins, like judging whether he goes to heaven or hell. and God pulls up this profile of David Goggins. And in the time of him thinking about this, he was like 300 pounds, overweight, had no money, just was a complete, failure in his eyes. And up on the banner of David Goggins that God was showing him, it was Navy SEAL, 100-mile race winner, blah, 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 all these things that he has done. And he was like, that's not me. And then he was like, oh, shit, like I can do whatever I want to do. And, like, sometimes thinking about that is really difficult because you're fucking lazy.
Yeah.
And it's like, everybody tells you can do what you want to do, but you have to do it.
Yeah.
It's not like it's just going to come to you.
Yeah.
And it's, like, kind of unfortunate to have people tell you that, and then you look at yourself and you're like, what am I doing about that?
Mm-hmm. Well, you went through the same thing. You were overweight when you were a freshman, and you had some realization one day, and you said, "My life is never going to change." I don't think enough people know this because it seems like some situations are too complicated for this statement. But everything that I've ran into, I know that there's a couple exceptions, but I would say the majority of life follows by the idea that everything is going to continue however it is until you change it.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was saying earlier with the relationship, I was lost and I had no idea what to do. Eventually I decided to, instead of keeping everything in my own head, I wrote it down and stuff, and like it changed for me. Life changed for me.
Mm-hmm.
We have a friend that is going through like struggling with a relationship right now, and he doesn't know exactly what to do, and life feels like it's crashing down because he can't be with the girl that he wants to be with. And I told him, you're going to feel like that. She is going to continue with however she does because she's not you, and she cares about you, but she doesn't know what's going on internally in your head.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to be upset about this until you choose to not be upset about this. You have to take a different direction in life right now, or you will always live like you are. Until you change something, it will continue.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think tough love is another thing that I was going to talk about today. That's what I do with my closest friends. That's what I pretty much do it with everybody. So maybe I shouldn't do it with everybody because some people just don't know me that well.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you can take tough love from me because we're really good friends.
Yeah.
But I think that especially for men, because I don't do this with girls necessarily because they think a lot differently than we do. But with men, you have to, I think I've taken the not obligation, but I guess that's like what I think of it as, unfoundedly, obviously. But I've taken the obligation to show my closest of friends that as a man, you need someone who pushes you hard. Like I never am mean. I'm never intending to be mean or like upset y'all as my closest friends. But I think that more people should have tough love and support in their life to tell them, like I told our friend, hey, it's going to continue until you change it. Nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
I'm here for you. I've listened to you. I understand. But this is the reality of the situation. You have to do something different. It's not going to change unless you do.
Yeah. I'm fat, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Stop being a pussy, go work out.
Yeah.
Like that's like 1 and 1. And like bring back Goggins is when he was on Rogan, and he was like people get so upset when people like use tough love on them, where they're like, you're fucking dumb.
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe that makes you feel bad, but maybe they're right, and maybe you are fucking dumb. Mm-hmm. Are you gonna change? Same thing with like, you're fucking fat. Like, are you gonna change?
Yeah.
Like, it's on you, of course, but like, if you recognize something in a friend, and like, for them to understand, like, a way for them to change is to be a dick. Like, sometimes that has to happen.
Yeah.
Like, I got called fat, like fat. Like, I didn't like being called pudgy.
Yeah, for real.
I didn't like being called pudgy. I fucking,
and you made a change, and you look great now. And that's what I'm saying. Like it's easy to say it from the other side. Like, I made a change and I'm better now. The same thing with, I started working out after another breakup of mine. Like, or actually it was after that breakup. It was, I started riding and then I went home for the summer and I got a gym membership and I tried to work out with you and you went once with me and then you left my ass out in the fucking in the snow, and which I don't really care about because I learned how to work out by myself, which was the whole point of the
endeavor
in the endeavor, obviously. But like, you if you are upset with something that is going on in your life, and I think working out is the perfect way to change things. I mean, like, we are so unhealthy as a in the United States. What is it? 40% of people are overweight or something like that.
It's got to be more than that.
50%. I don't want to be grossly. So we'll say 40% just because that's on the very low end, and that's probably not right, but it's on such a low end. 40% of people are overweight. I mean, that is crazy to, like, your mind, your stomach and your brain,
gut microbiome.
And, yes, your gut brain connection. Like, if your body is not healthy and you're not doing the right things to support your body, then you're not going to feel good.
No.
So, like, I know that working out is tough because my father's overweight, and it's what?
41.9% of adults have obesity.
So that's not even overweight.
Obesity is, like, bad.
Obviously, well, also, and then the BMI thing is, like, super weird. Like, The Rock is technically overweight, or maybe he's obese.
Yeah, but, like, still, we know that Americans are fucking unhealthy.
Yeah, okay, so 40% are overweight. I'll give you that. 40% are overweight.
And that leads to mental health issues.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So, like, your body doesn't perform correctly. Like, we're supposed to be running. We're supposed to be, like, active. We're
fucking apes, bro.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like, if you think that you can get through life without having a healthy body and, like, have a healthy mind, and without a healthy body, like I was starting to say, my dad's overweight, and, like, I love him to death, and he works so hard and he barely has time. And I understand now from having that job over the summer that, like, shit is hard to get a workout in, especially when you have kids. I mean, it's a little different now. I'm the youngest at 21 years old, and my dad, like, he can go and work out if he wanted to. He has a gym in our like, not weightlifting gym, but he could get, like,
at least something.
He could definitely do something, but when you get older, like, we're invincible right now. It's insane to think about, but right now you're invincible, and you can go and work out because you have all the energy. But, like, as you get older, it sucks to try to fit that into your schedule because there's a lot more stuff that you have to deal with. So that's like the other side of the argument. Like,
True.
It takes a lot of time to go to a gym and work out in a gym, but
like
also
a 2-hour excursion.
But also, can you get home from work, and even though you're tired, this is another thing I wanted to talk about. Even though you're tired and you have no motivation for that day, shit doesn't get done from motivation alone. Sometimes you have to have dedication. You work out every single day. Do you have the motivation to work out every single day?
Fuck no.
Or are you just completely dedicated to the fact that you are going to work out every single day?
I'm dedicated.
That's exactly what it is. And so I don't think
half
people know
the
that
fucking
either.
time I wake up, I'm like, God.
Fuck yeah.
Well, that's not true. That's not true. Half the time it's like
you're sore. Like, well, I guess if you work out every single day, you're not that sore.
At this point, it's just like, like, maybe I didn't get a lot of sleep the night before, which I prioritize my sleep. So, like, let's say I didn't get my 9 to 10 hours like I love, and I got like 6. Then I wake up in the morning, I'm like, God, fuck, like, I gotta go hit legs.
Yeah.
But I'm like, stop being a bitch.
Yeah, that's exactly what you need. And sometimes you just have to have that tough love with yourself because if you're relying on motivation every single day to go do something, you're not gonna advance, and you're probably not even gonna do it. If I over the summer, I was only motivated. Every time I worked out, I was only motivated. 2 years ago, I was dedicated to working out, and I was fucking huge. This past summer, I didn't work out all during the semester, and this past semester, I worked out for literally the first time like a couple weeks ago. But I've been doing the boxing stuff because I'm training for that. So I've, like, been working out, but I haven't been lifting weights like I normally wanted to, and just doing it off of motivation alone, you don't get anywhere.
And the tough love with yourself is something that I completely agree on. And, like, as much as I just preached, like, talking to people and, like, talking to your mom and stuff like that, for me, like, there's a healthy balance of both. Like, I'm not going to my mom and crying about dumb shit on a daily basis. I'm going to my mom with, like, heartfelt personal problems that need to be solved for my mental well-being and for the family to function correctly type stuff. Like, that's when I go to my mom, my dad, whatever. But, like, the tough love with internal stuff, like, you know, maybe someone made me angry. Someone said something to me that I didn't agree with. Someone said something to me that hurt me, right? I could wallow in that. People do all the time.
Yeah.
Like, if someone's like, someone says, you know, you're whatever. Can't think of anything right now. A lot of people hold that and, like, that replays in their head over and over again. For me, bro, I have learned over the past fucking 3 years that if someone does not like me, they can eat my taint, because I don't give a fuck what they think about me, because currently I'm trying to ball out in my own set, like in my own self. And so if you're not with me balling out my way, then fuck you. Like, I don't listen to what you have to input into my brain, because I have tough love with myself to say, I'm not going to let this person bring me down because they don't agree with anything I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a section in the book that I was just looking through. It talks about how, like, you can't find the way that nature works is that the way that human nature works is that people are imperfect. What Marcus assumes is that people are naturally good. But sometimes there are people that stray away from our naturality. So you have bad people, like, that are going to bring you down. You have traitors, you have liars, you have every single type of bad person that you can imagine. But only your mind can harm itself. So no matter what everybody else does, as long as you do not let you let your mind hurt itself, then you won't be brought down by how those other people act, right? So like you were just saying, if you're not on my train, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to keep moving. Like, if you're either on or you're off it, you're not going to get in my way, because the train don't stop for nobody.
Bang!
Boom! Train.
Bang!
Can't get hit by the train if you never get off it, right?
Bang!
So like, that's the important thing another thing, while I'm on my milk box, that you have to understand that, like, this is with people being offended nowadays to everything. Like, you choose to be offended. I know that's a tough thing to hear, because people are married to their ideas, and they say, well, you went against what I believe, and that offends me. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, whether you agree with it or not. And some people shouldn't have opinions, because some people are really fucking stupid. I get that. But, like, everybody can have one. So you just have to, you can actively choose, which is a really fucking crazy thing, but you can actively choose not to be offended by stuff. And so, like, I mean, it's the same thing. If you mind, nothing can hurt your mind unless it's itself. So, like,
that's how fucking, like, I mean, like, Goggins, like, I keep bringing him up. He's just a tank. But, like, dude, nothing fucking phases him. You call him, like, you know, you could have some fucking, actually, I'm sure he'd do something about this. But if you had some, like, you know, KKK guy just go up to him and just, like, scream the N-word at him and just trash him.
Yeah.
Goggins, I feel like, would do one of two things. He'd either beat the shit out of him, or he would just be like, oh, yeah. Keep saying it. Keep saying it. I love it.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, that's a crazy motherfucker.
Yeah, but, dude, sometimes, like, bro, you got to be, like, sometimes you just got to, like, harness that, like, the imperfection of others. Like, when someone tries to bring you down, I, like, you know?
That's
love
also,
it. I kind of love
also
it.
the thing that I'm talking about with tough love. Like, no one pushes me like I push other people. I don't really have anybody that is, like, will call me out. Remember when we did the 100 push-ups? We did 100 push-ups for 30 days, 100 push-ups a day, and I wanted someone so badly to call me out on keeping track of this.
Did you do them?
Yeah, I fucking did it every single day.
Too.
And so, well,
Debbie didn't.
Yeah, I know he didn't. But I even tried to hold other people accountable, because I want that shit. I want that shit. I want people to like fucking yell at me, and I want people to call me at 7:00 in the morning when I'm supposed to be getting up to go work out with them, and fucking come to my door and show up and say, hey, get your ass up. I do that to my roommates when we go boxing. Like, I want people to hold me accountable like I hold other people accountable. And I wish that someone would come along and do that for me more, because it doesn't happen for me very often. I know that's the case, and so I just work around it. And I've in turn motivated myself to do things like going to work out and reading and like studying. Like I'm trying to do things, but I wish more people in my life would hold me accountable for things like that. And like I was talking about, like give you that tough love, like fucking yell at me, like call me a fucking bitch if I don't do something right. Like if I'm gonna skip out on my workout on a random Wednesday in the middle of the month, like call me a fucking pussy because I am. Like I don't need motivation to go work out that day. Be dedicated. Be that person in my life. Yeah. Someone, please be that person in my life.
I got you, Pinel. No, but fucking the accountability. Billabuddy or the accountability.
Yeah.
Dude, I would love, like, I think that is such a good thing for young men to have is, you know, other young men that have like-minded ideas and the same kind of, you know, overall goal to hold each other accountable. Yeah. Whether that be spiritual, relationship, working out, whatever, health, you know, having a close, tight-knit group of friends that, like, for example, like what Nick's doing right now, like he's running, right? And like I said, like you know how we go with Nick about when he tries to get on his little fitness journeys. Usually we don't believe in him, right? Yeah. But we hold him accountable. We try.
Yeah, I talk shit to him.
We talk shit to him. But yesterday he's running in the dark, right? Yeah. Cold out. I say, good for Nick. Good for Nick. I'm glad Nick's doing that. If I find out that he's slacking, because he has this whole other backstory of to why he's running. If I find out that he's fucking slacking, I'm calling his bitch ass out.
Yeah, you should.
But that's why me and Nick are friends. That's why me and you are friends, is because you see things that I want to do, right? I want to be this. I want to work out. I want to be a really healthy guy. I want to go do music. I want to do all this stuff, do the podcast. People need to hold me accountable and say, what are you doing right now to achieve what you want to do? Yeah. Same thing for you. You know, that's what makes a good group of friends a good group of friends. And when you have people who try and bring you down, get the fuck off my train.
You have to have a basis. So the hard thing about tough love, like we've been talking about, and like I'll talk shit to you if you're not doing things right, because I want you to share your goals with me, and then whether you want it or not, I'm going to push you towards those goals. If I did that without you knowing that I love you, then you would think that it's malicious.
Yes.
If I talk shit to you and you don't know that I love you to death, then you're gonna be like, well, who the fuck is this kid? Why is he pushing me like that? Get him the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
If you have that foundation and you know that I am here for you and I want you to succeed because I want you to push me to succeed too, that I think is what some people are missing in their relationships. I guess it's just men that I'm talking about right now, but I think that guys don't not experiment, because that sounds like you're doing weird stuff. But
bro, guys just are so reserved, bro. Like guys hold a wall. Guys build a wall in front of themselves and try and like, bro, could you imagine if back in the day, like I came to you and I was like, Pinnell, I want to be this, like blah blah blah, or like, you know, had all these like conversations with you, like we'd call him a pussy, like, yo, dude, you're explaining your thoughts and your emotions. You're a bitch. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of guys still think like that and, like, still have these facades and these walls that they try and put up and, like, act like no one can help them.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really experience that. So what I realized in literally the last couple of weeks, like, I don't really have a good understanding. I've been very fortunate with the people that I've been close to my entire life. And the people who most of the people that I hang around with don't act too, I guess it's not crazy or out of character or like, I don't know exactly how to explain it, but
irrational.
Irrational. That's a great word. I don't think that my friends have been irrational over the past years, because I only have like 20 close friends, I guess I would say. Guys I've been in college and y'all from back home. I think that like I've been very fortunate with the people who have been close to me, is they haven't been too irrational. I don't really know, like if I bring up something like that and I say, hey, I need help, or hey, like this is how I'm feeling, apart from a couple, like it's like a couple like off the wall comments like, oh, like, what are you fucking talking about? But it's like, no, I actually feel this way, and I'm coming to you to talk about it. And they're like, oh shit, okay, then I'll talk to you about it. Because I mean, some people I don't really interact with like that, but sometimes like I know that's the right person to go to. Like sometimes I go to Christian about stuff I'm talking about with girls, because when we first met, that's what we talked about. Like that first breakup is my sophomore year. That's what I was going through. And I was like, hey dude, like there's like 3 people living at the bottom floor of the fraternity house. And he was one of them. And we both played Rocket League. So we hung out a little bit. And I was like, I just dropped it on one day. I was like, dude, I'm really fucking struggling and I don't know who to talk to. And he's like, oh, he like was caught off guard. And that's when we became friends. He was like, yeah, I mean, holy shit, that's a pretty fucking horrible story. But like, I kind of like relate to you. And this is what my story is.
So I'm saying
too.
the fact that he was caught off guard is like, it's, you know.
You have 2 ways that's what I'm saying. You have 2 ways to go down that path. Some people, when they're caught off guard like that, they're just like, oh, they just turn it down because they've never dived into, some guys, they've never dived into like their emotions. But some other guys, they get caught off guard like Christian did. And he's like, oh, well.
I would love, like,
yeah, like I'll talk to you about this shit.
Yeah.
Like I'm down with that. And that's the same way I am. Like I would never make anything in my life less sad. And I hope that nothing coming to me is less sad in the future, because being sad is like, it's so like, you know that you're alive when you're upset. Like,
bro,
I got upset. I got choked up when me and Christian were walking home from our last exam last Friday or whenever it was, last Thursday. And I was like, dude, because recently I've been listening to music that's from video games I used to play when I was younger, like racing games. They had really good soundtracks. And I was like thinking about how simple everything was when we were younger.
Yeah.
And how you have nothing. Wait, did we talk about this today? Did I see you earlier today?
No.
What did I do today? I was talking with someone about it, and I was
Nick
like,
last night.
Oh yeah, it was Nick last night. And I was like, when we were younger, there's like stuff. Or now there's stuff that you should care about. Like at 21, there's stuff that I should care about, but there's nothing I like really have to care about. I'm never required. You're never in your life required to care about anything
yeah.
really. But there's some stuff that you should care about. When you're like 10, you don't have to care about anything. There's nothing you should care about.
No.
When you're like 13, when you turn into a teenager and you're like in middle school, okay, there's some things you should probably start caring about, like studying habits and like bullshit like that.
Yeah.
But when you're younger, there's nothing that you should care about. And like, I was like, Christian, we're about to make the biggest change of our entire life. We just finished our last exam of our last fall semester of college. And obviously he threw in, he's like, oh, maybe I might go into my 5th year, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, fuck you. Listen to me. I'm about to cry. We're going into our last semester of college. And I'm still listening to the shit that reminds me of not caring about anything in the world. This upsets me. This is crazy. And he was like, yeah, dude, that's true. Like we talked about it for a little bit, but like I don't know. Maybe I'm just sharing something. I don't know what
dude, I literally called my mom last night and like I saw a picture of myself like back in high school when I was DJing, and I was like, I called her. I was like, Mom, I feel so disconnected from that person.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like that person is like where I was the most confident in myself, when I was having the most fun. Like that's when I felt like the most alive. And she was like, that person's still in you. You just need to find that person. So to your carefree type thing, it's, you know, maybe it's carefree, but also like still trying to like find like, you know, that mental carefreeness about being a kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, there's an age where you start to care, and then there's an age when you don't care. Like when you don't care about what people think of you or what you're doing, but you still kind of have that mindset of like pursuing a higher goal or something, then like there's not a lot that can stop you.
Yeah.
Right. And so like when I call my mom, I'm like, Mom, like I don't feel like I'm that person that I used to be, and I don't feel like I'm this energetic person that I used to be. She's like, no, you still are. You need to change. You need to find a way to tap back into that person. And you know, what did you say? You said sadness was good, right?
Yeah. I would never make anything in my life less sad, or anything that's coming to me less sad, because it makes you feel alive.
I was fucking sad as shit. But like, then you think about it, it's like, wow, I mean, that emotion and that way that I can cognitively like understand and like think about the way I'm feeling about a certain situation is beautiful.
Yeah.
And like the growth from that is just absurd.
Yeah.
It's nice.
You definitely need
The bottoms.
Yeah,
Okay.
but that also, this is referring back to what we were talking about earlier. You won't ever change if you never make the decision. Nothing in your life will change unless you do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's another tough love statement. If you're going to be a bitch about what's going on in your life, then
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be a bitch for the rest of your life. Like
Yeah.
you're just going to take whatever comes to you, and your life is going to fucking
You
suck.
just complain.
I'm sorry that hurts, and I'm sorry that's the reality of the situation. But if even though that's not necessarily true, I'll cue you in on something. That's not true. Your life will not suck all the time forever if you're always a bitch. But most of the time it will.
Yeah.
But if you believe that your life is going to suck unless you do something about it, then you're motivated to change when your life sucks. So like you could live through it and 80% of my life will suck, but 20% would be good. And if I just ride the highs when they're high and ride the lows and just be in the wallows when it's low, then 20% of my life is good. Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go with that. But if you believe that 100% of your life is going to suck, or even if it was like 60-40, like I don't want fucking 40% of my life to be good and 60% of it be bad.
Yeah.
I want 80% to be good and 20% to be bad. If you believe that your life is going to suck unless you do something about it, then that is where you get that initial motivation to start doing something, and then you have to turn it into dedication to completing whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
So like if you want to go be my dad is the most admirable man that I've ever met. He started a family when he was really young. He got married in college. He had a wife, and he didn't even finish his degree when he started working on Wall Street. He was an investment banker for Dean Witter, like The Pursuit of Happiness. He did that. He was Will Smith basically. And so, but he got into it because he said, I'm a smart guy. I like numbers. What pays me the most money? Because I know that I'm going to have a family someday, and I want them to be as comfortable as possible. Big cut.
Yeah. Reached my limit on Shuttercast. Oh, wait. That's my time. God damn, bro. This shit pissing me off, man. What were you saying?
My dad's the most admirable man. He worked on, let's see, he knew that he was going to have a family and he wanted them comfortable someday.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I've grown up like in a super loving household. I've been so like blessed with things that I've gotten, but that's all because my father had some dedication. He was definitely not motivated every single day to wake his ass up and not get paid for the internship that he had to go do for Dean Witter. Like that's how it works. You don't really get paid for it. But he was dedicated to saying that I'm going to be the best at what I was, and he was for 20 years. He was the best. He was the best in the Southeast, and then eventually he was like, I don't want to do this anymore because it sucks. So he made a change.
Yeah.
He said, I make a lot of money doing this, but I don't want to do it anymore. So I'm going to do something that I cannot. He doesn't make as much money anymore, but he wants to succeed in something else. So it's like your life, you have to pivot in your life. You're not the same. I'm not the same person I was 2 years ago. I'm not the same person I was 4 years ago. In high school, like I kind of feel bad for everybody that knew me because I was a little shit in high school.
Dude, that's the same way I'm fucking thinking right now. Is like I fucking am so pissed off about all these people I knew from back home who like still think of me as like fucking O-Town from high school, and it's like, bro, like chill the fuck out. Like that's like
Yeah.
Like as much as I said I want to be that person again, I'm not saying I want to be the person I was in high school. I'm saying like there's aspects of that person that I wish I still had that I lost through my journey due to a bunch of other facts. But like, you know, I'm a completely different person than I was in high school. And like, if you can't recognize that, then like, you know, if you can't accept change in other people, so it's like the thing with Blake.
Yeah.
You were having a hard time understanding his journey and his path.
Yeah.
And I kept being like, yeah, Pinell, you just got to understand, like, he's just doing something different. And we love him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, he's completely different from us, but he's still our friend because we have accepted that Blake acknowledged that he needed to make a change. He made the change, and it made a better for him. And we acknowledge that, and we support him in that.
Yeah.
Same with fucking Wright going to the military.
Yeah.
Scary. Bro, I don't want my friend in the military.
Yeah.
Like, that shit's scary. But he recognized he was in a shitty place, and he was like, I got to figure something out. And what he figured out was he's going to go get bitched at for 4 years.
Yeah.
Which he's loving it right now, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, if you have people who are around you who can't allow you to change in the direction that you don't want to go, not friends.
Yeah. which sucks.
Does suck.
Because like sometimes you have to make that active decision, and I'm not very good at that. There have been friends in my life that just it doesn't work out, and like are like we don't line up.
Yeah.
But like I can't drop people. That's not in my nature. So that's something that I struggle with, and like I think I'm always going to struggle with. It's just it's hard for me to like
keep people at a distance
Yeah.
that need to be kept at a distance.
yeah, I can't really do that.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
So it's definitely it's. I mean, maybe I'll learn someday because I'm way different than I was in high school, and I'm way different than I was a couple years ago. Maybe eventually I'll figure out how to let go. But like I think we were on Discord one night. Maybe I was talking to Max and Liam, but I was like, I don't want to go and move somewhere. Like making new friends is really hard for me. Not because, well, I think it's hard for me because I don't know how to like. I don't know how to make that connection with another guy like I have in the past. Like I've built up my friend
You
group.
got your close guys.
Yeah, like I have my close guy friends, but like, what if I go move? What if I go move to like Savannah? Like I was talking
I
about.
fucking am. I'm going to move.
Yeah. So like, how the fuck?
I'm excited, bro.
How are you gonna do that? How do you work into making new friends like that? What's your plan? What's your plan of action?
My plan of action
Yeah.
is I'm gonna grab. Hopefully, I'll have 2 or 3 other roommates from where I'm gonna live in Denver, and we're just gonna fucking make it our mission to go tap into a group, whether that's fucking snowboarding or hiking or a fucking local bar. Like I think the plan's like we're just gonna go to like every fucking dive bar and just fucking shoot the shit with people. Cause like at that point, like when you're that's the thing too, is that's why it's hard. Like here it's like I still have connections to people who think that I am this old person, fucking man whore, whatever you want to call it. Like, people still think that I'm this old way. And so if I go and try and make new friends, like more or less it'll come back to them that I was a shithead in high school. It probably will.
Well, I mean, dude, you're all the way out in Denver and you have a
but now I'm saying here.
Oh, here.
I'm saying in Denver, I have nothing to lose.
Oh, yeah,
I can be my true, authentic self. Maybe there's one person I know in Denver.
Yeah.
But those people out in a different area, they don't give a like. If you go up and approach someone as a 22-year-old guy in a bar, and you want to play darts with him, and you're like, "Hey, we should play darts next week." That guy does not give a fuck about who you were, where you come from. All he's worried about is we're playing darts next week. Yeah. And that's how you start the relationship.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to do. Just go fucking meet new people and just get the fuck away from all the preconceived, ideas that people have of me.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that some people, like, I kind of like to hear about, like, I wasn't a great kid either in high school. Hopefully I'm far enough away from all that.
I think we were fine. I just think that we were just dumbasses.
Yeah.
We were good kids. We were just dumb.
But some people have very bad, like, people see me and they just see something that I did.
Yeah.
And just, I have a very strong mind. And so I kind of like hearing all the horrible shit that I did, even if I'm not going to be able to fix it.
Yeah.
If someone sees me from high school and they said, "You did this to me and I will never forgive you," I want to hear about that. I want to hear that I did bad things, because that's all I've been dealing with for the past 4 years since I left high school. Like, even in middle school, like I wasn't the best kid whatsoever. And so hold on. Yeah. And so I was like I've heard people say, like, "This is how you made me feel." Mm-hmm. If you accept my apology, I will give you an apology. I will give it to you whether you won't accept it also.
Yeah.
Like, whether you will or won't accept it, I'll give you an apology. I am truly sorry for the things I did. And I know, and it fuels me that I know I can't fix that, because it motivates me
to be better going forward. Yeah. And not making the mistake you did with new relationships. Yeah. Bro, what was I going to say? Oh, fuck. Oh, about the seeing you for one thing. Jonah Hill just came out with a documentary on Netflix. It's called Schultz. It's about his therapist that he was talking about. And his therapist was saying how everybody in their head has a version of themselves they don't like. Mm-hmm. And he calls that like Person X. Mm-hmm. Person X is always trying to hold you back from who you want to be, because you can't get over the fact that you were once someone you didn't want to be, right? So for Jonah Hill, it was a fat fucking like 14-year-old kid who was just really socially awkward. Yeah. He can't get over, for the longest time, he couldn't get over the fact that he ever was like that, and that like traumatized him. But what Schultz was saying, or Schutz, whatever, was saying that if you allow yourself to understand and invite that person in and be okay with the fact that you were something else, but now you are different,
Yeah.
that like that bridge is good for learning about what you didn't like about him, what you did like about him, and how can you move forward with pieces of him that you like and drop the pieces you didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, that I think my person X was like my freshman and sophomore year of college.
College, yeah.
Yeah. High school was pretty much fun. I didn't really give a fuck, but like
Mm-hmm.
the person who I'm like most like, how the fuck was I ever that human, was freshman and sophomore year of college. Like moving now, I'm technically going to be a senior this upcoming semester, so I'm only a fucking year and a half removed from that person,
Yeah.
which is fucking crazy to think about. But like, I'm slowly trying to not really care that I was ever that person. And if people see me for that, then, like you said, get the fuck off my train.
Yeah.
So,
Damn. So like what are like attributes that you think are different, so like direct attributes? This is how I was then and this is what I am now. So like what have you improved on from that person, do you think? Obviously your
physical, yeah, we're not going to mention that, but like I think I was very externally motivated by what people were saying about me, how we were interacting, right? Mm-hmm. Like I would do things that I didn't agree with socially, didn't agree with, morally, to get approval from others. Mm. And that turned me into someone that was not myself. And now I'm not like that, right? And I think, probably another thing would be that like my insecurities were so high that I was being someone else to try and mask myself because I was so insecure of who I was, and I felt like I could not be myself around everybody. Mm-hmm. So I was someone else for 2 years to try and mask that insecurity. And now I think I've dropped kind of a good bit of layers of that insecurity. And now I would say that I am not seeking approval from others in the sense that I was back then. Obviously, I do still, as much as I try and say I don't care about other people's opinions and I'm trying to work through it, everybody cares about other people's opinions. You're going to care about that for the rest of your life. But trying to separate what you care about from what they're saying, like what is it that you're caring about and why, as opposed to just them being like, I don't like you because you're this or that. So like that's what I would say has changed.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, that's a good improvement. That's definitely something that a lot of people struggle with and not many people come to terms with.
Yeah.
Like, I'm only doing things because I was like that too.
Yeah.
I'm only doing things because I feel like it's something that you'll fit in doing. Like,
yeah.
I see these people, and me and Nick had a conversation about it last night. Like, I always kind of felt like, I don't think that we as a group were close with our close friends until, for me, it was like senior year. Like the end of senior year is when I became close with all of y'all and more into college. Like COVID actually is when I felt like we started getting close.
Me and you?
Yeah. I didn't feel it like we were at all before then. And what Nick mentioned to me last night, and even to anybody in that group, like I kind of just felt like I was kind of just there. Like I forced myself into the situation and it ended up working out because I love y'all to death and hopefully y'all love me to death.
Yeah.
But like, I've never felt like it was easy for me to be in any friend group. And I've always struggled with that because I've always been so harsh with everybody. Like the tough love thing I was talking about, I've kind of always been like that. I've always just been like a hard-headed kid and it hasn't always been channeled in the right direction. Now I think it's channeled a little bit better than it ever has been. But in the past, I felt like I never knew how to do things right. I was the youngest brother out of 2 older brothers, and they didn't beat the shit out of me. But like we were a little tough on each other, especially like I was really close to them when I was younger, and I'm not as close to them in like that end of high school because they grew up. Like that's just how it works. And so obviously I'm closer to them now, which I'm very grateful for because I love them to death too.
Yeah.
But what Nick was saying to me last night is we have another friend, Davis Westbrook, and he was like, dude, you and Davis were always the closest out of anybody. Like, and I didn't even know that. He was like, what my interpretation is that y'all two were like inseparable. And I was like, well, I guess I never really noticed that. But I don't want to take it that far to say we were inseparable.
Yeah.
But like we were really close because we played lacrosse together, and we went to like he took me to lacrosse every single day, and we hung out every single day. And like I don't know if it's like because I never talked to him about it or if I never talked to y'all about it, but like I think that some of that. Well, now I kind of am realizing it that we never really talked about like how we felt and that kind of stuff. I guess during young life, sometimes we would,
Maybe.
but not. We never really had those conversations like amongst our friend group of saying like, "Hey, this is how I'm feeling." Like,
Yeah, it was always just arguing about jewels.
yeah,
Literally.
There's packs and pods.
Dude, that's what I mean. Yeah, I mean, I think that's just because we were in high school and we were so insecure about our emotions that like we just were like, oh, we're all friends, which we all were obviously friends because we all like loved each other, but like no one was gonna pull someone aside and be like, hey, I'm like having like I'm having an issue with you. I think I've done that I think I did that a few times with Blake, but that's me and Blake had completely different.
Yeah.
But yeah, fucking crazy.
Damn. It feels like it's been so long since that, like.
Oh, I know.
Like 4 years, dude.
5 almost.
We're almost done.
Yeah.
Well, how long? Wait, so you're saying you're gonna be a senior next semester? So you're gonna graduate next fall?
Yeah, hopefully.
Damn.
Yeah. Did you like that one, ladies and gentlemen? That was a good one.
How long was that?
That was an hour and 25.
Damn.
Wow, that flew by.
Yeah, we kind of ripped through it.
Good shit. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. There'll be more. Oh, let me say this real quick.
My name's Ethan Pinnell, by the way. I never said that.
Ethan Pinnell. Logan Eggleston, you the GOAT.
Let's go.
Shouts out.
Let's go.
I'm getting you on. Logan,
Yes.
if you watch this, I'm going to send you this separately. You're coming on this podcast over break, and we're going to talk about the Longhorns and
National
you winning the
championship.
Natty and being
Oh
the
my
GOAT
God.
at women's volleyball. Also, Walker Merrill, Jackson Hanna, I will see you both on Friday. They're coming.
Peace.